Hello everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the 2022 House elections and giving you guys my updated predictions for these races. So, this is going to be a long enough video, we don't need to make it any longer with an intro. Let's get started. So, I tweeted this on the 12th, which I think was 3 days ago or something like that, and I kind of previewed this video in which I said that I have some noteworthy changes, in my House ratings, and all of these are in favor of the Democrats. Again, there are some ratings that'll be moving towards the Republicans since the previous video, but these are the ones that have moved towards the Democrats. And so that tweet got both some positive and negative reactions. This person said, "Hello, base department." There was a funny reply here. Someone said, "Pennsylvania should be lean Democrat," with a picture of Jim Halpert from The Office, which, for those of you who don't know, is set in Scranton. It's actually my favorite TV show, so that person has good taste. Now, some other people were kind of making fun of me. I'm really pointing this out because I think it's interesting. Someone said, "Are you doing a comedy bit?" Which the answer is no, because I'm really not that funny, and if I tried to do a comedy bit, it wouldn't be funny. But I'm glad you thought my tweet was funny, which is because most people don't think I'm funny in general. This guy said this is a cope, and I don't know why he said that, because I couldn't have provided any evidence, because Twitter has a character limit. So, anyways, hopefully that person is watching this video now, because I'm going to explain my ratings now. So, Dominator, if you're watching this video, hello, thank you for the view, I appreciate it. So yeah, let's get started. We'll do an alphabetical order here. So, Alabama, nothing going on there. Alaska, we don't know who's going to win the Republican primary, or who's going to, not the primary, but Alaska has a ranked choice voting system, and there are three candidates there: Mary Peltola, the Democrat; Sarah Palin, the Republican; and Nick Begich, who, despite his last name, is actually a Republican. And so Peltola is going to probably finish in first due to a Republican vote split. The question is who's going to come in second and then win because of ranked choice voting. And if it's Sarah Palin, there's a chance that Sarah Palin actually loses to Mary Peltola. But ultimately, the people I've talked to that I trust say Begich is going to win, and I think you can make a better argument for Begich being the nominee, so I'll put it as likely Republican, but it would probably be lean with Palin and safe with Begich. Arizona's up next. Arizona, we got a couple of competitive seats here. So starting with the first district, this is a seat that Joe Biden won by, I think, 0.1%, so it was very close in 2020. Has an incumbent Republican. He's going to win by 5 or 6. He had a primary challenge, but he'll be fine. Next up is a flip for the Republicans, Arizona 2. That's Tom O'Halloran's seat. He won a Biden plus, I think he won a Biden plus 7 district by 10% or something. So he's a solid incumbent. He's not someone who's going to underperform too bad this year, but he's now in a Trump plus 8 seat, and he's going to lose by a similar amount. It's just, his seat is just too red now because it got redistricted, and he can't really win anymore. Arizona 6, that's a Biden plus 0.3 seat, has an incumbent Democrat, Ann Kirkpatrick, who's retiring. The Republicans are probably going to flip this seat back. I'd be surprised the Democrats hold on to it. And finally, Arizona 4. I'm moving this from lean to likely. I really don't see a path for the Republicans to unseat Greg Stanton here. Originally, I was kind of cautious on this one because I thought, well, maybe if the suburbs revert and if we have a decline in Hispanic turnout, he is in a competitive race. But the thing is, Greg Stanton is a really good incumbent. He did very well in 2020. And in addition to this, he's running in a left-trending seat with 2 bad Republicans at the top of the ticket, obviously that being Blake Masters and Kari Lake, who are probably going to drag down their opponents down ballot. Now, Arizona historically has been a state with a lot of ticket splitting, so I don't think it'll be that bad. But yeah, having Masters and Lake on the ballot doesn't really help the Republicans here. Next up is California. Got a lot of seats there to deal with. So we'll start with California 3. That's not really going to be too competitive. It's a Trump plus 3 seat. It's pretty left trending, so maybe 4 or 6 years from now it'll be a toss-up, but for now, it's still Trump plus 3. It's still a district that the Republicans are going to win comfortably, and they have a good recruiting. Kevin Kiley being the state senator from the region as well, he's going to win fairly easily. California 9, Josh Hart is running in that district. He kind of carpetbagged. He was in the 13th last time. He's running in the 9th this time, and I believe he's going to win by something like 6 or 7%. 13th district is going to be lean Democratic. The Democrats are running some guy named Gray, who I think is a decent candidate. I don't really know too much about him, in all honesty, because I think this race is kind of overhyped. What I will say, though, is that it's a Biden plus 9 district. It doesn't move a ton. Newsom won it by 6, Clinton won it by 8. It doesn't really swing a ton. So I think it will be kind of, it'll be kind of close, but ultimately, The Republicans didn't really do too well in California in the primary, and I don't really see um, I don't really see a path for the Republicans to win this seat unless they have like a massive red wave, which again I'm not expecting. By the way, speaking of red wave, I'll talk about the generic ballot for a second here. I am expecting there to be an R+1 national environment. I know the polls show a D+.4 environment, which is really good for Democrats because they have surged, because they were down by 3% a few months ago. Now they're up by 0.4, so very good showing for them in the polls right now. But again, the only poll that matters is the one on November 8th. And, the fact that like Democrats are having a good few weeks. I don't know if that holds till November. Even if it does, it would take a lot more. Like the Democrats would have to be up by like 2 or 3 for me to waver my prediction. But yeah, so I still think the Republicans will win the generic ballot, but I don't think it'll be by 4% like I would have said a few months ago. So R+1's my prediction for this national environment, and that isn't really enough to flip the seat for the Republicans. Now, California 22, that's another Democratic win here. It's going to be close. You can make really good arguments for both sides, but I've actually talked, by the way, if you want to hear more about this race, because I think it's a really fascinating district, go watch my video, go to the channel, go watch my video, because I'm doing a series on individual House districts. That was my first ever video, I believe. California 22, will David Valadao win re-election? And spoiler alert, I don't think he will. It's going to be very close. I would not be like stunned if he wins. But the thing is, he barely, first of all, in the jungle primary, the Republicans did very poorly. They only got about 54% of the vote in this seat, and this is a seat where Democrats do like really poorly in the primary, then do really well in the general. As in 2018, they got 38% of the vote in the primary. In the general, they won by about a point. And like the fact that the Democratic Party just got 46% of the vote on that primary is just really impressive. And Rudy Salas outran Gavin Newsom by double digits in some parts of the district, and he's also a state senator who outran Joe Biden by 12% in his district. And he's just a really good recruit for the Democrats. And David Valadao, a lot of Republicans voted against him in that primary. He had surprisingly weak showing. So I do think that he's going to lose re-election, although it will be very close, and you can make good arguments both ways. Julia Brownlee, that's the 26th district. She'll win by like 14 or 15. I don't really know why it's that competitive, but it'll be a likely margin, but safe in terms of probability. California 27, we'll come back to that because that's the most interesting seat in all of California. California 25 is going to be likely for the Democrats as well. Raleigh Ruiz had a very good showing in the primary. There was some evidence of Hispanics coming back to the Republican Party, but I don't think that'll happen. There's some evidence of Hispanics coming back to the Democratic Party. I don't think that's going to happen like in Texas or Florida or anything like that. But in California, Raleigh Ruiz is probably going to outrun Joe Biden in a lot of the parts of his district that are majority Hispanic. California 41, Ken Calvert, he's going to win re-election. This is a Trump +1 seat, but it's very Republican towards the bottom of the ballot. And Ken Calvert's a good enough incumbent to hold on here. Same with Young Kim and Michelle Steele. I don't really have too much interest in these races. These are seats that the Republican Party is going to do very well in. Again, Young Kim's in a Biden +6 seat. Michelle Steele's in a Biden +2 seat. Doesn't matter. They're both going to win by 7-8%. That's because they're popular in the districts. They won Biden seats in 2020, and the Democrats are running bad opponents who aren't really going to do too much to really contest the seat. To contest these seats, I think in 2024 Michelle Steele could be vulnerable, but Young Kim's going to do very well in the future. California 47 and 49. I go back and forth between lean and likely for the 49th. I'll put it as lean out of an abundance of caution. But again, Mike Levin, he did very well in his primary. He's a good incumbent. He outran Biden in a lot of the parts of the seat in 2020, which is actually really impressive because Joe Biden did very well in Southern California, and Levin put up a similarly good showing. So I think he'll win by 4 or 5%. Katie Porter is going to win more than 5, though. If you look at the primary turnout in her district, she got like 52% of the vote alone, which is incredible because this is a seat that is more registered Republicans. There is more of an advantage for Republicans in these primaries. She still got 52% of the vote. And she's like, the fact that she got 52% of the vote, you can make a case for her winning this election by double digits. Now, I don't think that'll happen, but it's to me in the likely column now. I don't think the seat is as competitive as it originally could have been. Now, final seeds, California 27. That's Mike Garcia's seat. And I really go back and forth on this one, but for now, I'll put Christy Smith as the narrow favorite over Mike Garcia. Again, people talk a lot about how good of a candidate Mike Garcia is, but the thing is, he's in a Biden +11 district. Sorry, Biden +13, I think, district. And he has taken a lot of votes that I think are going to alienate people. So first of all, on one hand, he voted to codify gay marriage, which I think upset a lot of super conservatives, which, again, it was a politically savvy move on his part, but it really shows you can't really please everybody at the same time. And on the other hand, he voted to overturn the 2020 election back last January. So he, I think, has kind of tried to play the middle, and he's done a decent job. Like, he'll do real, like, he'll outrun Trump for sure, but I don't think he's going to do enough to win the district because it's super left trending. He only got, like, Republicans combined for literally 50% of the vote in the primary here when they should have combined for 55 or 60. So, yeah, not a great showing for the Republicans in this district in the primary. It's actually one of their most concerning ones, really. So, yeah, Garcia, I do think is going to narrowly lose re-election, but it's going to be close. Colorado's up next. Colorado, Lauren Boebert is essentially likely. She won't win by more than 15, but she's going to win. Same with Ed Perlmutter. He'll win, but it won't be by more than 15. Colorado, wait, though, this is a seat that I've gotten increasingly more and more bearish on the Democrats on. And I say that because this seat swings the national environment. Like, in 2012, Obama won it by 8. 2016, Trump won it by about a point. Then 2020, Biden won it by 4.5. It goes back and forth. I think it'll flip in 2024 if the Democrats do well. But this year, it's a more Republican year. This seat voted essentially equal to national environment in 2020. So, yeah, I think that the Republicans are going to flip it by, 2, 3, 4%, something like that. Connecticut, not too much going on here. I know they have 2 battleground seats, but these are both likely for the Democratic Party. I don't see a path for the Republicans to flip them. Delaware, nothing going on there. Florida, these are all kind of like likely Republican seats. So actually what I will say is that Ted Deutsch is going to re-election here. And Maria Elvira Salazar is going to win. Like, these are all seats that are like could be competitive in the future for Democrats, but like for now they're all likely Republican. And also the 5th district would be likely, but it, like I'm doing this in terms of margin, and I think these are all likely by margin, but safe-ish by probability. Like, this map is drawn so that the Republicans are going to like win a bunch of seats by like 7-8%, which is fairly solid in terms of margin, but in terms of probability could be, considered safe. Georgia's up next. Georgia, we have some interesting seats here. I do think that in the 11th, these are Trump plus 15 seats. I think you could make an argument for the Democrats doing a little better here. Like, I could see you putting these as likely because, again, these are super left trending North Atlanta suburbs that could get bluer in the future, but I'll keep them as safe for now. And then the 2nd district, I originally had as lean Democratic. I'm moving up to likely Democratic as we get closer to the election because the Republicans, first of all, in that runoff, they did not get their preferred candidate who would have actually contested it. In addition to that, Sanford Bishop, I got my names confused, excuse me, is a really good incumbent. He has done good things with black turnout in the past, and the fact that Raphael Warnock's on the ballot to be boosting Democrats down ballot is very helpful in a state like Georgia. So, yeah, I do think that Sanford Bishop's going to hold on probably by more than 5% because, again, this is a Biden plus, I think, 11 or 12 district. He'll probably win by a little less, but it'll still be a win. Illinois is really interesting because, there are a couple seats that I think are going to be likely for the Democrats here. Sean Cassidy, Illinois 6th. This is, I think, a Biden plus 13 seat. He'll probably be fine. He'll probably win, by a similar amount. Bill Foster, Lauren Underwood, these are all gerrymandered seats outside of Chicago that will probably go Democratic by 10 to 12%. Illinois 13 is another one. This is a Biden plus 11 seat. I think it'll be single digits this time. Maybe Democrats win it by 8 or 9 or something like that. But yeah, Illinois 13 open seat, no Republican incumbent there. Democrats are going to flip that one in all likelihood. Then finally we got the 17th. The 17th I've been really going back and forth on. I don't really have any strong opinions on it. It's Biden plus 8, so like on the surface it's pretty blue. But the thing is, I think Tammy Duckworth and J.B. Pritzker are going to probably run even with Biden here, but the Republicans have a spending advantage, and they are, they're going to, ultimately, the fact that Republicans have a spending advantage and the fact that this area is very right trending and very much a, kind of lower propensity district hurts the Democrats here. So, yeah, I think the Republicans are going to narrowly flip it, but this is this is a race. I just have no clue what's going to happen. Indiana won. I've gone back and forth, and I think it could be lean, could be likely, but just to be very cautious, I'll put it as lean Democratic. For what it's worth, Frank Mervyn could win by more than 5. I think he'll win by 5 either way, but it could be a little more. But this is a seat. It's based in Gary. It's based in eastern Chicago. It has a significant black population, very working class district. He'll probably win re-election by 5-6%. And we only have one poll, and it was pre-Dobbs, which, again, the post-Dobbs world is much more Democratic than the pre-Dobbs world. And what we saw was that Mervyn was up by 7%. He was polling fairly high, so I think Mervyn will be fine. Actually, like, I'll just be bullish. I'll put it as likely, but yeah, it'll be like the thing with this seat is that it's a seat that flips in a wave, but unless there's a wave, probably won't flip. Iowa 2 and 3, that's Hinton and Miller Meeks' seats. These are seats that I both think are going to go to the Republicans by 10-12%. Donald Trump not narrowly, but he won them by like single digits in 2020. They're probably in the trend red, and the Democrats aren't really contesting them. Also, having Kim Reynolds and Chuck Grassley winning by double digits statewide will help the Republican Party. And now the 3rd district is interesting because it has a Democratic incumbent here, and she's actually been up in the polls, and she was even tied in a Republican internal, which is good for her. But it's a Trump district. He won it very narrowly in 2020, and it's in a right trending state where the Democrats aren't really going to play hardball statewide, because Mike Franken and Deirdre DeGea are the Democratic candidates for statewide office. They're probably both going to lose by like 15-20 points this year, and that hurts Democratic turnout down the ballot. And Cindy Axne, maybe she gets a turnout boost from the university voters from the city of Des Moines. The suburbs keep trending left. She could have a chance, but for now, I'll still stick with lean Republican. I'm not going to change. Like, a lot of people change their mind based on just 2 or 3 polls. I try to stick with the more concrete data, and for now, I still think Cindy Axne is going to lose by 3-4%. Kansas. This is a hot take, but I do think the Democrats are going to win Kansas 3. Now, I know it's only Biden plus 4. I know it's a seat that the Democratic Party should be losing here, but it is one of the most left-leaning districts in the country, and it voted like 2-1 overwhelmingly to keep abortion legal in that referendum, where the Democrats did very well in Kansas. And Laura Kelly is almost certainly going to win the district. Having her on the ballot is going to help Democrats. And ultimately, yeah, I think that the Republicans are going to come up short here, and a surprise to some. A lot of people think this is going to be a lean Republican race, but it's super left trending. Turnout's going to be good for Democrats, and Sharif David's going to pull this off, I do believe. Kentucky, not much going on there. Louisiana, not much going on there. Maine, interesting seat here. Jared Golden, a lot of people really think he's going to win re-election, but I'm going to, another hot take here, I think he loses. Jared Golden he outran Biden by, I think, 14% in his old district. He's a very good incumbent, but we're in a year that's going to be more Republican than 2020, and his district is super right trending. So the question becomes, do you think Jared Golden's incumbency is worth 15-16%? And I think it's worth a lot of it. I think it's worth maybe even 10%, but I don't think it's worth enough. And the Republican, Janet Mills, is going to run behind Biden statewide, and the fact that Democrats don't really have a turnout booster up in northern Maine is going to really hurt them this year. So Jared Golden, I see him narrowly going down, although, again, he's a really good incumbent. He could pull this off, hypothetically speaking. Maryland 6th. I think the Republicans had a disappointing primary here between Matthew Foldy and Neil Parrott. Parrott was the guy who lost to David Trone back in 2020 by 20 points. And Foldy would have been a better candidate. I think with Foldy, it could have been lean Democrat, maybe even a toss-up race. But for now, I think David Trone's going to by 6-7%. Again, this is a double-digit Biden seat. Trone has literally $13 million in cash on hand, whereas Parrott has like 500,000. And Democrats are going to just blitz the Republicans in this race. The Republicans are running a bad candidate for governor at the top of the ballot, and everything in Maryland just going poorly for the Republicans now. So I do think this seat is going to stay with David Trone and the Democratic Party. Massachusetts, nothing much going on there. I'm saving there. I'll save blue. Michigan, there's so much going on in Michigan, contrary to Massachusetts. So where to begin? Let's start with the 10th district. This is a really fascinating seat because it is a white working class district that in 2020 voted for Donald Trump by 0.6%. But interestingly enough, Gary Peters, the Democratic candidate for Senate, actually did win the district. So it's, first of all, it shows that like the district is weird because although Biden outran Peters by, I think, a 1.5 statewide, he still ran behind him by quite a bit in the district. And also it's interesting because the Republican nominee for Senate, John James, is running in this district. So John James is running in a district that he literally lost in 2020, which is interesting. And he's running against a good opponent, Carl Malinga, who is a Democrat very well known in Macomb County, which is where most of the district is in. And Gretchen Whitmer, I think she is going to win the district at the top of the ticket. So originally had this race is likely Republican. I could see an argument for toss-up, but I'll put it as lean Republican for now. But again, the seat is by no means a safe bet for the Republicans. I would not be stunned if Carl Malinga does pull it off. He's a good candidate for the Democrats. He's underrated. A lot of people seem to forget about the seat when they're talking about competitive seats in Michigan because they got focused on the other three. I think Malinga has what it takes to pull it off, although, again, it'll be an uphill climb for him. Next up is Michigan 3. Peter Meyer got primaried out here by John Gibbs. And John Gibbs is a much weaker candidate than Peter Meyer. Meyer would have given the Republicans a better chance of winning this race, right? He outran Trump by 2.5% in 2020. The district is much more Republican down ballot, even though Biden did win it by 8. But, down ballot, Peters only won it by, I think, 4. And Gretchen Whitmer actually ran behind Biden here, which I guess is both evidence of left trends and also the fact that the Republicans still do well down ballot. But yeah, without a moderate like Peter Meyer, it'll be a lot harder for the Republicans to win. Especially with someone like John Gibbs, who has said Democrats have eaten babies. He's, very, very right-wing. And, that works well when you're in a super Republican district. But again, this is a Biden-leading district. It's very suburban, very moderate, has a very interesting kind of appeal. And ultimately, I do think that John Gibbs is going to cost the Republicans this race, and I think he loses by 4 or 5%. Also, I do want to quickly note that I think Michigan 4, the Democrats succeeded with their write-in candidacy there, and I think Bill Huizenga is going to win, but it won't be by more than 15%. It'll probably be high single digits, maybe low 10s, 10, 11% margin of victory. Now, the 7th and 8th are just so close. I have no idea what to think here. I think I'll split them. I think, to be fair, I'll just split them here and go kind of with the consensus, which is that Kelly's going to narrowly do better than Alessa Slotkin. And I said that because Kelly's in a Biden +2 seat, Slotkin's in a Biden +1 seat. But again, I could see a scenario where they both win. I could see a scenario where they both lose. It's going to be very, very close either way. Now, originally, I had Dan Kildee losing re-election, but I've looked at the campaign he's running. He's running a very good campaign for the district he's in, focusing on the issues that matter. And his opponent is Paul Junge, who lost a seat that Donald Trump won in 2020 by a fair bit of votes. So Dan Kildee has a bad opponent. He has a ton of money. And he's in a district that is actually more Democratic down ballot. Now, I know that Joe Biden won it by 2, but Biden ran behind Gary Peters here. Gretchen Whitmer did very well here, and she's on the ballot again to boost Democratic turnout. And you have that abortion referendum to boost Democratic turnout. So Michigan 8, I do think, is going to nearly reelect Dan Kildee, but it's going to be very close. Now, Michigan 7, this is the closest race in all of Michigan. This is a state that has a ton of close races. So I'm writing about it in an article that'll come out, I think, tomorrow, but here's the thing with Michigan 7. It is very, very strange because the Democrats won the primary vote there by, I think, about a point. And this is despite the fact that they had no competitive race on the ballot and that the Republicans should have turned out more. And, the fact that the Democrats still won the primary vote kind of destroyed my original argument, which was that Lansing turnout would kind of fall and that the rural parts of the district would just make up for a higher share of the electorate and that Slotkin would lose by 4 or 5%. I still think she'd narrowly lose it, but it's going to be incredibly close either way. And she has a ton of money. She is running in a seat that Gretchen Whitmer is probably going to carry at the top of the ballot. And ultimately, I could see her winning. She's a good, she won a seat that voted for Trump in 2020. Now she's in a Biden seat, so she can absolutely do it. She's running a good campaign, but Tom Barrett's also a good opponent for her. So I see her narrowly going down as of right now, but it's going to be incredibly, incredibly close. Minnesota. We have they now have 2 seats on the battleground list here. So first of all, Minnesota 1. I have to apologize because I was wrong with this seat, and I didn't make a video about it because I didn't have the time. But I was expecting the Republicans to win the seat by 13%, and they only won it by 4. So I've been underestimating Democrats a lot lately, both in Nebraska and Kansas, where I only had the winning. In Nebraska, I had the Republicans winning by 15, and they won by 6 or 7, I think. In Kansas, I had the pro-choice side losing winning the referendum by 4. They won it by 18. And in Minnesota 1, I had the Republicans winning the special election by 13. They won it by 4. So I've noticed that I've been underestimating Democrats and more liberal things a lot as of late. So I thought I'd kind of apologize for that because I do have to bring it up. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because it was Minnesota 1. But anyways, I do think that Brad Vinston's going to beat in a rematch Jeff Ettinger by a little more than he won by in 2020. Although in the special election, although I do think it'll be single digits. Now, Minnesota 2, Angie Craig here. I originally had her in a toss-up race, but I think she's going to win re-election. It's a Biden +7 district. It's very pro-choice. The turnout there was very good for Democrats, and despite the fact that they didn't really have any competitive primaries statewide. In addition to that, Angie Craig's a good incumbent. She has so much. She's in the top 10 House Democrats incumbents for how much money she has. And I think she's going to do very well. And I quite frankly, I'd be a little surprised at this point if the Republicans pulled it off. They need a big red wave to flip it, and right now I just don't think they're getting a big enough wave. Is there nothing too much going on there? Montana. That one district's going to be a little interesting. It'll probably be below 15, although again, it's going to be it's going to be Republican no matter what, right? Like this is a seat that the Republicans, Trump won by I think 7 or 8% in 2020. It's left running, so in the future it'll be competitive, but as of right now, it's a matter of how much the Republicans win it by, not if they win it by. Nebraska. So first of all, I think Nebraska one's likely Republican. It'll like the Republicans are going to win it no matter what. The thing is, this seat is very, very interesting because in a special election, the Democrats only lost it by I think 6.5%. They're getting a rematch in November, and they're probably have even higher turnout from the Lancaster County area, which is again the home of Lincoln, the capital city of Nebraska. And that's enough to make me think that it'll maybe be single digits, and it's a very left-running seat. So I could see it happening. I could see the Republicans kind of getting a little spooked here once again. And yeah, I think they're going to win it by 9 or 10%. So like they're going to win it, but it's just not by as much as people think. Nebraska 2, this seat I think is a sleeper flip. I don't think it's going to flip as of right now, but this is a Biden plus 7 seat. Don Bacon's a very good income, which is why most people have it as lean Republican. But you have to remember, left trends are left trends, and in a state like Nebraska, where there's a lot of Democratic votes building up in Omaha, it could be interesting. So that's not me saying he's going to lose, but it's me saying watch this seat because it could just surprise you. Nevada's just got so much to talk about here. So first of all, this seat's going to be likely not safe. It's like a Trump plus 11 seat, and that wasn't even with the universities in the Reno Sparks area in session. It'll probably be around a similar margin for Marco Modi, the incumbent Republican. He's a good incumbent. Actually, I'll put it as safe just to not get flamed, but don't be surprised if it's under 15. Now, Nevada 4, Nevada 2, Nevada 2. These are Biden plus 8 and Biden plus 7 seats, so I think are both going to go Democrat by 3 or 4%. Again, they have Democratic incumbents. They have a ton of money. And ultimately, Nevada doesn't swing too much. Like, these are Biden plus 8, Biden plus 7 districts that may move a little bit towards the Republicans, but ultimately, at the end of the day, these are not seats that just move it. Like, there would need to be a big red wave for these seats to flip, and I just don't see that happening as of right now. Nevada 3, though, this is a pure toss-up, and I've been going back and forth, but I think I'll give it to the Republicans. Again, April Becker's a good candidate. She's beating Susie Lee in the polls, and, just like the fact that the Democratic Party tends to kind of lose these marginal seats, every year. I could see Lee losing. It's kind of just a gut feeling. Like, it's a Biden plus, I think, 3 or 4 district, and so it's going to be close either way. But like the fact that the polls have Susie Lee down, the fact that she really needs a ton of turnout that she only would get in a presidential year to win. I just, as of right now, I'd rather be the Republicans here. But again, it's going to be either very close, and I would not be surprised at all if the Democrats pull it off. New Hampshire. So originally I had the Democrats lose New Hampshire one, but I'm moving it to a lean Democratic. Chris Pappas is a good incumbent. It's a Biden plus 6 district. And ultimately, when you look at, again, he's another one of those incumbents that has a money advantage. And it's like I said, it's a left-trending seat. And having Maggie Hassan at the top of the ballot is really going to help Democrats. Like, I know Chris Sununu is going to hurt them a little bit, but Senate races are more correlated to House races than governor's races are. And again, we're living in a post-Dobbs election. New Hampshire is a very pro-choice, very socially liberal state. And Chris Pappas is an incumbent that fits his district fairly well, and I think he's going to win. Ann Custer is also going to win probably by 6 or 7%. She's in a Biden plus 9 district, and she really knows her district very well. This is a district that, again, voted overwhelmingly for Chris Sununu, but also voted overwhelmingly for Jeanne Shaheen and Joe Biden. So Custer, barring a big red wave, I don't think she's going to lose, but again, it could hypothetically happen. New Jersey, first of all, I don't really see either Andy Kim or Mikey Sherrill as competitive. I think they're both going to win by 12, 13 points. But now, New Jersey 7 and New Jersey 5 really interesting. So first of all, New Jersey 5 is Josh Gottheimer's seat, and he's in a double-digit Biden seat, but he didn't really do too well in 2020. So he'll probably win just by a little less than some people might expect, probably 4 or 5%. Now, New Jersey 7 is interesting because you can make a good argument for the race being competitive and the race not being competitive. Now, what I will say is that I think the Republicans are going to win it. Just a flip for them. But here's the thing. The argument that I agree with more and tend to kind of just, generally go with is that the Republican candidate here, Tom Keene, who's the son of, or Tom Keene Jr., who's the son of Tom Keene, who was the governor of New Jersey, is doing very well, and he's a good fundraiser. He has a lot of money. He's in a seat that only voted for Joe Biden by about a point. And he's also just a good candidate for the district. He's this is a district that voted for Jack Ciattarelli by a lot in 2021, and it's just a more Republican district down ballot. Now, the caveat to that is that it's left trending, and not like this being an election in the post-Dobbs world gives Malinowski a fighting chance here, but ultimately this is I think one of the first seats off the board for the Democrats that they're going to lose, and they should just without a Senate race at the top of the ticket to boost them. I see Tom Malinowski going down. And New Mexico, all races here are competitive, but it's to different degrees. Stansbury outran Biden in her special election last June. She'll probably do fairly well this time as well. Good incumbent here. Teresa Lega Fernandez, also a good incumbent, knows her district very well, has a ton of money. I don't think the Republicans are contested, although Mark Ronchetti might come close in his run for governor. And then New Mexico, too, moving from toss-up to lean Republican. I originally thought the Democrats had a fairly good shot at this, but I thought of it a little more, and it the argument that I made for the Democrats holding on to or flipping it was that Harrell underperformed Trump. It's not really a district that trends anywhere. It was both Biden +6 and Clinton +6, and the fact that Biden collapsed with Hispanics in other areas but not New Mexico shows that it's going to stay blue. But the thing is, I think it's more of an if. I think it's more of a when than an if for Hispanic collapse with Democrats in New Mexico, and having Michelle Lujan Grisham at the top of the ticket, who's going to underrun Biden severely, it's really going to hurt the Democrats down the ballot here. So Harrell, and also I don't think it's fair to say Harrell's a bad incumbent because she ran behind Trump, but she was running against Xochitl Torres Small, who again was the incumbent Democrat from the seat from 2018, and Xochitl Torres Small is supposed to be in a toss-up race, right? She was supposed to be only losing by a point or so if she lost, but she lost by 6 to Yvette Harrell, and Harrell ultimately did very well when you look at it with more perspective. So I think she'll hold on just by a little less than she did in 2020. New York, so much to talk about here. New York 3 is really interesting because I don't know what's going to happen here because again we're seeing a bit of a vote split between the Democratic candidate and I think the Progressive or Working Families Party candidate. Either way, without Tom Suozzi, the incumbent, I think it's going to narrowly flip to the Republicans. It's kind of a gut feeling, to be honest, because, again, the trends there just aren't really there for the Democrats, and Josh Lafazette isn't a great candidate. So, I think it's narrowly votes Republican. Same with New York 2, narrowly voted for Biden, but it's going to be likely Republican. Same with New York. New York 2 over here. Kathleen Rice in the 4th. I don't really know too much about the seat, but I'm going to assume it stays Democratic. Then New York 11 is going to vote Republican. It was originally drawn to be a Biden +9 seat, but it's now I think a Trump +7 seat. And unless Max Rose is a good recruit for Democrats, but unless it gets really really good for Democrats because of this Dobbs bounce they're seeing, I don't see Molly Otaki's losing. Now these upstate seats, they're all kind of similar. They're all so the 19th is a Biden +4 district. I think it narrowly goes to the Republicans. But I don't know. I could see either way. It really depends on what the turnout from Cornell University looks like, because that's Ithaca, that's in Tompkins County. In 2020, we saw a bit of a depression in turnout from college towns because of online learning, which is an underrated factor this year. Again, colleges being back in session really helps the Democrats with those small marginal seats because they gain 10, 20,000 in votes depending on the size of the college. So and also just to put it in perspective, colleges decided probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 of our House seats. For example, in the 22nd district last year, had some of the universities there been back in session, we probably would have had Congressman Anthony Brindisi win re-election and over Claudia Tenney, and in Iowa 2 with Rita Hart and Rita Hart and Marinette Miller Meeks. Rita Hart literally lost seat by 6 votes and had, I think, Northern Iowa been back in session, or whatever the university was. Maybe it was, I think, Iowa State. Either way, those university that was closed down had been back in session. We probably would have had another 2 years of Congresswoman Rita Hart. So, New York 19, again, going to be close, but unless turnout really spikes in these Democratic regions, I think it's going to narrowly flip Republican. New York 22, though, I do see the Democrats flipping that one. John Katko would probably have won this by a lot if he'd ran again, but he isn't running again, and the Republicans don't really have a great candidate here. And again, I think Francis Connell is the Democratic candidate. He's probably going to do very well. He has fair amount of money, and Kathy Hochul's going to do well, top of the ticket, relatively well. She won't do amazing, but she'll do relatively well. The New York 17 and 18, I think, are both going to go to the Democrats, although it will be fairly close here. So now North Carolina. First of all, New York 6 and 14, I don't think it'll be that close. Like, they'll be likely Democratic seats. Nothing too much to talk about here. North Carolina was interesting because G.K. Butterfield's retiring, and we have the Democratic candidate I think it's Don Davis running for the Democrats. And again, he's a state senator from the region. He knows the region pretty well. He'll probably win by 4 or 5%. Don't think it'll be too much of a problem for Democrats to hold on to unless black turnout totally collapses, but I'm expecting it to stay decently good for Democrats because of Sherry Beasley running statewide. And then North Carolina 13, like, I've been debating whether to just lean Republican or toss-up, but I'm going to stick with lean Republican. I like to be bullish here. I like to give the takes here. And ultimately, I do think that the Republicans, Bo Hines being their candidate, are going to flip it. And yeah, that will be a Republican pickup there. Ohio is a state where I have a lot of takes. So first of all, people are like really sleeping on Democratic chance of flipping the first district. It's a Biden plus 8 district. It's super left trending. Tim Ryan's probably going to win at the top of the ticket. And again, Cincinnati turnout might just spike and we won't know. So if that happens, I could see the Democrats winning the seat. If not, Steve Cabot probably holds on. But yeah, like the people who say this is like the Republican are just kind of, I think, misinterpreting the data, because it's like Biden plus 8 seat. And this is like one of the few seats like Biden didn't do terribly compared to Sherrod Brown. Because like in most of Ohio, Biden ran behind Sherrod Brown by like 15, 20 points. But in Ohio 1, he was only like 2-3 point underperformer. And that just shows how left-trying it is. That just shows how well the Democrats are going to be doing here in the future. So they have a chance of winning it. But again, it's going to be, I think, a narrow Republican hold as of right now. Ohio 13, this is a Biden plus 4 right-trending seat in Akron. Anthony Gonzalez not running for re-election here. I do think he's going to, or I do think that the Republicans are going to hold on to it. In Ohio 9, I've talked a lot about this. I have an individual video, so I won't talk about it too much here, but go listen to my video. Will Marcy Copter win re-election in Ohio 9? Spoiler alert, she will not, for a reason, and go watch the video, but essentially it's just a very right-trending seat, very working class, and it's voted for Trump, so I don't see a path for a Democratic recovery here. Oregon's next, Oklahoma, not too much going on there. Oregon's interesting because we've gotten some internal polls that have had the Republican Party within striking distance, but I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you, quite frankly. These are double-digit Biden seats, and yeah, while Tina Kotek might lose the statewide office for the Democrats here in the governor's race, and while there's some limited evidence to support there's like a bit of right trends in the districts, it's still a year in which Roe was overturned, which kind of takes away a lot of the Republican upside in pro-choice states like Oregon. In addition to that, the Democrats have incumbents in one of these seats, and Andrea Salinas is a good candidate for the 6th district. I think she'll do very well in the northern parts. And yeah, I think the Democrats hold on to these seats. Now, Oregon 6 will be interesting. Sorry, Oregon 5, not Oregon 6. That's Jamie McLeod Skinner versus, I think, Lori Chavez de Romer. And McLeod Skinner she beat out an incumbent, Kurt Schrader, who is a Blue Dog Democrat in a primary. And there will be some level of Democrats who don't vote for McLeod Skinner because she's kind of a progressive Democrat, but at the same time, some probably wouldn't have voted for Schrader anyways, so I don't really think it's too much of a minus for Democrats. In addition to that, there's, I think, some universities back in session here, which will help them in the region. It's a Biden plus 9 seat. It's left trending. You have the Portland suburbs, which are super Democratic trending. You have the city of Bend, which is Democratic trending. Deschutes County itself was a county that Biden did really well, and then 2020 will keep accelerating for Democrats. So I think a lot of the hype here for the Republicans is a little overblown. Pennsylvania, there's so much to talk about here. So first of all, let's eliminate some of these districts. PA 10 is going to be vote for the Republicans by double digits. Same with PA 1. That's Brian Fitzpatrick's seat. Again, this is actually a seat that voted for Joe Biden by like, I think 2%, but Fitzpatrick's a really good incumbent. He outran Trump by like, what was it, 20 or something ridiculous like that, and he'll win by double digits again. Pennsylvania 6 with Chrissy Houlihan. This is Chester County, very left trending district. She'll probably do very well here, especially in a year where abortion is a big issue. Then we have the 3 competitive seats. So the first I want to knock off here is Pennsylvania 7. Susan Wild is a bit of an overrated incumbent. She's in a Biden plus 2 district, and she's not going to be doing very well because she actually she ran behind Biden a lot of her district in 2020. And Lisa Scheller, I believe, is the Republican candidate, and she's going to do very, very well here. And when you take a look at the city, she needs Susan Wild needs turnout from like cities like, I think, is it Allentown? Yeah, I think it's Allentown and Bethlehem to no, not Bethlehem. It's kind of these Allentown, South Monroe type cities over here. She needs turnout from those areas to spike and rural turnout to fall for her to win re-election. I didn't see that happening on the same day. I don't think they coincide. Then Pennsylvania 17, I think on the flip side, does vote for Chris DeLuzio. This is a Biden plus 6 seat. It's very left trending. And the areas of the district that are left trending are likely to spike in turnout relative to the areas that are right trending, which will probably decline in turnout. So, again, that does show you, I think, a lot about the electorate we'll be seeing on midterm day. But again, this seat did vote a point and a half to the left of the country in 2020. It's left trending. It'll probably vote a little more to the left. And we're only going to be in R plus 1 year. So I think the Democrats win it by about 2%, something like that, which is just in the tilt column. But I could see it being a lead margin as well. Pennsylvania 8, this is a seat that I'm so fascinated by. I go back and forth every day. I think it's going to be red, it's going to be blue. And today I'm feeling it's going to be blue. And I say that because Matt Cartwright is a very good incumbent. And he is someone who I do think has the ability to win a district like this. So in 2020, he won a Trump plus 4.5 seat by 3.6%. So he earned roughly 8% ahead of Joe Biden here. And the thing is, without Biden on the ticket to, drag down Democrats, Cartwright's got a good shot at this because Josh Shapiro is probably going to win the seat over Doug Mastriano, first of all. Because Shapiro won this district by I think, was it 7% in his attorney general run? Yeah, he won it by 7 in 2020, his attorney general run. I don't think he wins it by as much against Doug Mastriano, but I do think he does win it. And John Fetterman, I don't know if he wins it, but it's going to be very close, and Fetterman probably does outrun Biden in the seat. Because, again, Fetterman is a better candidate for the working class than Biden was, and Dr. Oz is much weaker than Donald Trump with that demographic. So, Pennsylvania 8, Cartwright just got it going for him. He's a good fundraiser. He has a ton of money. He's doing well in the polls. Or I think he's, there was an internal poll from his opponent, Jib Bognett, who, it was funny because it was pretty obvious that Bognett was down in his own internal because he centered, the part of the poll that mattered, but he showed, these parts of the poll we're going to release, but the other part we're not going to release. So I kind of inferred that he was down in that poll. So Pennsylvania 8, going to assume the Democrats narrowly hold on to it, but it's going to be incredibly close. Rhode Island. There's a lot of hype around Rhode Island, too, with, again, James Langevin retiring and Alan Fung being the Republican candidate. But I think it's going to stay blue by a fairly considerable amount. Again, the hype is just because of, one poll that showed Fung up by, 9% with, 10 billion undecided voters. And it's mostly just because people don't know who the Democrat is because it's a retiring incumbent. Fung might crack 46% of the vote, but I don't think it'll be that close in the end. Tennessee, I don't think there's anything there. Texas, I have some hot takes here. So first of all, I think that the 15th is gone for the Democrats. Michelle Vallejo is a progressive, and I don't think progressives are going to do too well in the Rio Grande Valley. And Monica De La Cruz is a good candidate for the Republicans. Texas 34, Mayra Flores is, she's a decent candidate. She won a special election, so she has the ability to win competitive elections. But Vicente Gonzalez is also a good candidate. He's an incumbent. He knows how to win elections too, and it's a Biden plus 14 seat, so I don't think it's going to be enough. The trends are there for Republicans long term, but I don't see it coming to fruition just yet. Texas 28, though, this is going to be really close. Henry Cuellar is in a tough bid, but the bad thing for him is that he exhausted all his money in his primary against Jess Cisneros, and when you look at what we're seeing from Democrats, I think a lot of Democrats are worried about Henry Cuellar. Turnout is probably going to decline with the Democrats in the Rio Grande Valley, and again, it's a right-trending area. Anyways, in the suburbs, Cuellar's going to do okay in the suburbs, but he's not going to outrun Biden in the suburbs because Biden did really well in the San Antonio suburbs, and I just don't see Cuellar doing well enough. And it's only a Biden plus 7 seats, so if Cuellar does a couple points worse in the suburbs and turnout from Democrats in the South declines, it's enough to see Henry Cuellar losing. Virginia, I have some takes here too. So first of all, I think Wexton wins by something 14 or 15%. It's a Biden plus, I think, 19 district, and even Terry McAuliffe won the seat in the 2021 gubernatorial election. That shows you how blue it is nowadays. So Wexton, I don't think, is in that much trouble anyways. Virginia 7, though, Spanberger is going to be, I think, reelected here by 3-4%. Originally, I had it as a toss-up, but Yesli Vega has been really disappointing to me as her opponent. She made very asinine comments about abortion and sexual assault. And quite frankly, I don't think she's a good fit for the district because of those views. I think she's going to get really hurt. She kind of Todd Aiken to herself, really. And I think she's going to lose because of those comments. And also, Spanberger has so much money to just put attack ad after attack ad on her. And Spanberger actually did outrun Biden in her seat in 2020. So I think Spanberger is a good enough incumbent to hold on even in a more Republican year. Now, Virginia 2, Jen Kagan's the Republican nominee state senator seeking to defeat Elaine Luria, and I do think she'll succeed, although it'll be closer than people think. A lot of people think this race is over, that Luria is going to get walked over by Jen Kiggins, but I do think it's going to be within 3%, and I could see Luria pulling it off, because again, this is a very left-trending seat. It's a very competitive district. I think in 2024, it's a pure toss-up, really. So, yeah, but without a Democrat to boost turnout from the I think it's the Chesapeake Bay, or is it? I'm getting my cities in the Chesapeake Bay, but there are some urban areas the Democrats need turnout from that they're not going to be able to get this year. So that's why I think Kiggins does beat out Elaine Luria. Washington 4, Joe Kent wins the primary there very narrowly over Jamie Herrera Butler. I think Washington 3 is going to stay red, though, probably by about 10-11%. Washington 8, Kim Schreier. Originally, I had her losing, but in the primary, she won with 51% of the vote, and the fact that we, in a primary in Washington, where elections are usually but 2 to 3% more Republican than the general, I think Schreier's going to win by maybe 2 or 3%. It'll be close, and I could see her losing, but she seems like a good fit for her district, and she did very well in the primary. So Washington 8, I think, does stay blue. Then finally, Wisconsin got a few seats there. Actually, no, only actually, I'll put the first on the battleground map here. Again, this is a seat that voted for Donald Trump by only 4%. He actually did very well in Kenosha, so I could see it being single digits, but the Republicans win no matter what. Then finally, in Wisconsin 3, Ron Kind's old seat, he won a Trump plus 5 district in 2020 by about 3%. Super right trending, though, and the Republicans are going to win it by probably 10% this year. It's a Democrats aren't really going to contest it. I think Mandela Barnes is going to get smacked here, and Tony Evers is a decent incumbent, but I don't think he's going to do well enough to boost Democrats. So, yeah, that's it. That was a long video. I'm getting really thirsty now, so actually I'm going to go drink my water once I finish recording this. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you have any comments or want to see a video on one district, I do 10-minute videos on individual districts. I've already done California 27, California 22, and Ohio 9. And I'll do another one probably tomorrow. I'll check the comments and I'll see what the top comments are. But yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you all next video. Bye, guys.